Hey, Bayek, it's me, and in today's video, I'm looking at this. This is Our Friends in the North from 1996. And before I go on, I'd just like to say that thank you so much, Tony, for sending this. It's a wonderful series. It was so kind of you, and I loved it, as you might expect. Right, I better get into it then. Now, this was transmitted on the 15th of January through to 11th of March 1996. It was in 9 parts, and they are 1964, 1996, 1967, 1970, 1974, 1979, 1984, 1987, and finally 1995. So there were 9 segments in this series. Now, the length varied. It wasn't all one length. The shortest was 63 minutes 48 seconds from 1966. The longest was 1987, which was 74 minutes 40 seconds. And that was a total running time of 623 minutes. And it was transmitted on BBC Two, and it was a big hit on BBC Two. I think nowadays they would have put it on BBC One, but it was put on BBC Two. Maybe you just didn't have the confidence then, or in terms of programming and direction. But it got a very healthy write-up right from the beginning. Massive write-up. Also, it was quite a high budget. They gave it £8 million, and they did a really good job with that. That is a lot of money in terms of television production. Yeah, £8 million. Oh yes. Right, now there were it was written by Peter Flannery, and Peter Flannery had been pressing for this. It was a play. Yes, they'd done a play, and there were various attempts to get it going, but I finally did get going. There were various variations on this and how to put it forward, and it did get approved, and that was great. And there were 3 directors. Now, Simon Cellan Jones directed 5 episodes. Ped James directed 4 episodes, and Stuart Urban directed 3 episodes, all TV director based. Obviously, sometimes you get a few feature films, but very much TV based. And I think it's best to get into the cast. I won't go too much into detail, but I will give as many because it's a massive cast list. But we'll talk about the main ones and a few more in between. All right. Christopher Eccleston, he of course stars in this as one of the great actors he is. This is again a earlier role, but he's getting a good reputation, and particularly on this as well. He plays Nicky, very important character. And then we've got Mark Strong playing Tosca. Mark Strong was in Robin Hood 2010, and also Shazam 2019, and 1917 2019. So That is great. I can't find any Doctor Who connection. Of course, I can with Christopher Eccleston. Of course, I got Doctor Who connection with that. Being the brilliant Ninth Doctor, he was Christopher Eccleston. But yes, and I've gone into Christopher Eccleston. That's why I've gone too much into him. But yeah, then we've got Gina McKee playing Mary. She was in Notting Hill, In the Loop 2009 as well. Notting Hill's 1999. These stand out, but again, she's really predominantly very much in a lot of TV, films, series, as well as theatre as well. Then we've got, another big star, really. We have got Daniel Craig. This film really introduced him and rolled him out into the public. Daniel Craig, he plays Geordie, and that is such an important role in this as well. And he is... I'm not always the biggest fan of Daniel Craig, but in this film, he is great. Yes, the 9 episodes. I think he's virtually in all nine of them. There is one episode where we don't see him as much, very short time, but a lot of them is there. And what a performance he gives! Just amazing. No wonder he was put onto the map with this. Then we've got another actor who I've mentioned very recently, Peter Vaughan, who plays Felix. What a character actor he was, and sad loss. I've talked about him for, going right back to, as I remember, with Straw Dogs, but even well before that. And of course, I'm not somebody who's watched Game of Thrones, but he was in Game of Thrones as well. But he's very important in this. Great performance. Honestly, it's heartbreaking, actually. His performance, really heartbreaking. And we've got another face. And we have got another Doctor Who connection, of course. We've got David Bradley playing Eddie. Just another great actor. What an actor he is, he came across, I know him through really Doctor Who, but of course he was in lots of things. Particularly, he was in Harry Potter. He's just one of those great actors that just pops up and does a lot of TV as well as films. So he's a great actor. And then we have got Alan Armstrong playing Austin. He's another actor who's a familiar kind of face that pops up and you think, I've seen him before, and it's just lots of TV appearances. But then, of course, how could I leave this actor out? A legend. An actor who does movies a hell of a lot, and some classic ones, and of course, yes, lots and lots. He's a workaholic of TV shows. It is, of course, Malcolm McDowell. He plays the gangster Benny. Wow, and he's great in this. He's exactly what you get from Malcolm McDowell. A wonderful performance. Oh, wow, what a performance he gives. It's just outstanding, really. And he's in so many films, you could just write a book on all his films that he's written, just the films, but then you look at all the TV things he's been in. Wow, what an actor. I mean, what films do you talk about? There's so many legendary films. I first came across him definitely in If, 1968, I think that is, Lindsay Anderson film. And of course, Clockwork Orange really put him on the map, didn't it? I mean, that really. But from that you just carry on, and he's everywhere, in some great films, some great roles over the years. Fantastic actor. And he's great in this, really. And then we've got Peter Jeffrey playing Commissioner Blamire. Now, Peter Jeffrey, again, you think, I recognise this face. And if you want an interesting link, he was in If. He was the headmaster in If in 1968, which was what brought Malcolm McDowell into the limelight. He did that role, really made him. Of course, we're here again. We've got a Doctor Who. He was in Fourth Doctor story, Android of Tara, 1978. Well, that's it. I better stop on these actors, but you could just go on about it. There's so much. So, giving you an overview of this, it really starts in those optimistic years of the 1960s. 1964 it starts, and everything's bright, and we see it all in Soho as well, and we see it in Newcastle. We see the interaction, because they and the fact that Nicky, Christopher Eccleston's character, he's really optimistic about the world, and he's going to change the world. He's been traveling, and he's also in Newcastle. They're in London, and then his friends. We've got the 4 friends that we see, and from that it all unfolds, and it is fantastic. Seeing the way the characters change over the years and the events going on around them. And it's a wonderful journey following it. And of course, the atmosphere is just fantastic. So you basically got things like looking at slum housing. You see all that going on in these housing projects, all these flats that were built, and then it turned out to be terrible places and slums. Some of them had to be knocked down, and there was a lot of corruption involved out in that with builders, and then we've got police corruption. We're always on to police corruption, aren't we? It's still going on. We've got all that. We've got political corruption. The MPs are at it. Everybody's at it. We've got the rise of Thatcherism. We see all that beginning to emerge. And then you get all the sleaze underneath as well. So that particularly with Soho, and everything can be rather mucky. The post-war world is changing so much. The optimism of the 60s is soon really wiped away in many ways when we get into the cynical 70s and 80s, and what we have right up to the 90s as well. That optimism is fading and fading. Idealism. It's interesting watching the hairstyles as well. All the hairstyles when they go through all of them. It just gives you a wonderful tour of the period. And of course, you've got the miners' strike. Divisive, important part in political history. 1984. Oh, and of course, about the other bit, in the 70s, we had with Edward Heath as Prime Minister, we had the 3-day week and the power cuts. I remember them so well, the power cuts. Television finished, I think, at 10:30. You had all that in there. And then you even had, right, which is really interesting, in 1987, they even have that storm, the hurricane that came and devastated so many parts of the country. I don't know if anybody remember that, but in 1987, this storm, and there's a famous bit on the weather forecast where they say, "Oh, I won't worry about this," People have been saying there's a hurricane coming. No. And of course it came. They got it totally wrong. But you notice the poverty as well, and that is fascinating. And then poverty, how it changed, and people's aspirations to want to do better, but were they being held back? And the crime that results from a lot of this, and how the miners' strike just showed the class system was still very much alive, and the way communities came together to try and defend the miners failed. They got defeated. Thatcher, they defeated them. It's all fascinating stuff, and all this is in these wonderful stories that are put together in this Soul series. It is absolutely wonderful, and you get to love and sort of really care for the characters, and you see their weaknesses. They're all weak as well, and they're strong and weak. They contradict each other, They're wonderful. The whole cast is fantastic. I'm really trying to sell it because what I did, I binged watched all this. I watched one episode. Oh, I've got to watch the next one. I've got to watch the next one. That's why I did this. I had to do it when it's fresh in me. It's not that long ago since I stopped watching it. I just loved it. The thing that comes out is the struggles and humanity that there is amongst people. It is fantastic to see. Absolutely loved it. Anyhow, I hope I've gone too long, but highly recommend it sometimes. I think you might be able to watch this on the iPlayer. It's there, but here it is. Brilliant, beautiful box set. The quality was absolutely fantastic. Fantastic quality. And that's it. I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, then we'll let you know when I produce these videos. And if you like this particular video, give it a like, because then it gets it out onto YouTube, and hopefully algorithms, and people might like it, people won't, I don't know. And if you've got any comments, please put your comments down. I love to read your comments. And it all costs note, so you can't say fair and that, can they? But you can't. Yeah, I better go now. So all I gotta say is, I'll see thee again.